Hey y'all, welcome back to episode 164 of the Late Night Vision Show. This is the only podcast dedicated to all you night vision and hog hunters, coyote hunters, anything like that in between A to Z. We are here to talk about it. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about some gun laws and gun policies recently that came out in the state of Texas. But before we get to that, we're going to bring in one of my good buddies who I'm going to have the pleasure of hanging out with this weekend. Mr. Jason Robertson of Outdoor Legacy Gear, the owner of Outdoor Legacy Gear, your place, your one-stop shop for night vision thermal optics. How you doing, bud?
That was quite the introduction.
Yeah.
Man, I'm good. Yeah, so this weekend, about the time that everybody is hopefully getting this podcast, listening to it on Thursday, Hans and I and our wives should be down around the third coast, the southern coast of Texas down there, the Gulf of Mexico, in the beautiful green and brown waters.
What's sad is that is not a lie.
Texas is not known for their Jamaican beaches, but we do have some decent beaches for Texas. Yeah. So we're going to go down there and go hang out for the weekend, good Lord willing, and weather permitting, we'll be down there. So maybe we'll have some tales to tell.
Maybe you'll see some pictures of me and Jason in our Speedos down there on the beach.
Let me tell you something. If you see a picture of me in a Speedo, it's been photoshopped.
This past weekend was Father's Day. We keep saying we're going to bring the kids on just to say something, and we always say we're going to do it around Father's Day, and we haven't done it. But at some point we need to get the kids on. But I hope you had a good Father's Day. I got to actually go hunting the Friday night of Father's Day. I went from home from East Texas, went out to West Texas to do some hog hunting. And let me tell you, man, the mosquitoes out there are on steroids. If the West Texas mosquitoes met the East Texas mosquitoes in a back alley, the East Texas mosquitoes get their butt whipped all day long because
I don't want them to breed because I don't know what they would come up with.
Them dudes are so big you can hear them buzzing around your face. We're sitting there trying to line up to shoot pigs, and I mean just swatting at each other and trying to shoot as quick as you can so you can get out of there. But yeah, I got a chance to do that. Got to do some other fun things on Father's Day. So it was a good weekend. It was hot, but other than that, it was good.
Yeah, it was hot. I spent all day Saturday on the tractor, and I was miserable, dirty, hot, sweaty, sunburned when I got off. And I
sounds amazing.
Glad to. It was great. It was great. Well, listen, folks, let's get into this show. This is going to be a little bit of a different topic, and Hans and I recently have done some more stuff that was more gun/legislation/politics related, and it's the time of year where there's a lot less scope reviews going on. There's a lot less hunting going on. And there's a lot of these topics that people ask us about. They send messages or emails or leave comments and, ask what we think about something. And it's not that we think our opinions are worth anything or that you should listen to them. But sometimes people do like to talk about it, especially, like I said, slower times of the year. So we've got a really great opportunity because Texas just passed 7 new state laws that pertain to guns, gun rights. And so we're going to kind of get into some of those. And I know there's some of y'all that are listening going, well, listen, I'm not from Texas. Why am I listening to this? Well, number one, you don't have to, but we think this is, number one, it is interesting because we are from Texas, both Hans and I, and a huge portion of our listeners are from Texas. But Texas is a big state, and while we are revered by many outside this state as being one big bastion of conservatism, that is actually waning some when you look at the elections, national elections coming out of Texas. Now, state and local, outside of the big cities, we're still very conservative. I mean, in the state government, Governor Greg Abbott, and all through there, we've got a lot of really good conservative politicians in there, and so they've passed some laws. And I want to say this up front: most of these are not new or groundbreaking. There's many other states that have done these. Many states have done these several years ago, and Texas is finally getting on board. Now, I will admit to you, I think it's kind of an embarrassment it took us this long, all right? So I would have preferred to seen this happen several years ago, but I'm glad it's happening now, and one reason that I do think that it's relevant is because a lot of the other states that have passed some of these laws are smaller conservative states. And so when a state as big as Texas kind of makes a stand on some of these things, especially where you're kind of thumbing your nose to the federal government, I think it makes bigger waves. And I think it also allows some of these other smaller conservative states, or maybe even some of these, kind of, in the middle states, I think Hans calls them purple states, kind of right in the middle, but maybe you've got some conservative legislatures that lets them kind of go, hey, maybe we could do this too. I mean, Texas did this and the place isn't burning down yet. Maybe we could do this. So we hope that it kind of gives some confidence to some other states. So with that said, again, you might have already read an article about these. You may not care at all, but I think it does interest a lot of people of kind of what some of these laws are. So we're going to kind of quickly go over them. There's two of them that are really big hot button issues, one of them being really big, and we're going to talk about that towards the end, but we're just kind of going to go through these others pretty quickly and kind of get to the meat of it.
Yeah, so, like Jason said, a lot of people think of Texas being on the forefront of some of this gun stuff, but it turns out that, like you said, a lot of these states have already done this before us, and Texas is nationally a very, I would say, turning into a purple state, but that's how important local and state politics are, to make sure that you put people that are like-minded in positions of power that have the ability to make legislation, and that's why we're able to get some of this stuff done, even though federally, it more than ever are the gun rights and this Second Amendment community is under attack from not just from existing laws that they're trying to be either re-implemented or redeclared, but new people that are being appointed. Just you see people that are being put into power, especially what they're trying to do at the ATF with the person that was nominated there. Forgot his name, David Shipman, I think it is. Very much anti-gun, or I guess civilian having guns, very much against that. But so we're going to run through these, and not in any particular order. But the first one that came out that we saw, Senate Bill number 19. This is in the state of Texas, prohibits any governmental entity from contracting with any business that discriminates against firearm or ammunition businesses or organizations. And I'll tell you, Jason, here in the last several years, you've seen banks, financial institutions that have refused to do business with gun manufacturers and ammunition manufacturers. It's very interesting to me. I'd love to get one of these ammo manufacturers on the line and see from a business perspective how difficult is it for them to just do their ordinary business day to day because of some of the discrimination that goes on between these different companies that they have to do business with to be able to survive and put their product out. But this Senate bill here, at least in Texas, made it illegal to do that.
Right. So, it makes it illegal for the government to contract with them. So if you do have a company that is doing that, then our state government can't contract with them. And you're correct. So I know that back when I first started this business many years ago, we were selling some other stuff that wasn't just night vision and thermal optics. We had some AR-15 accessories. We had some knives and things, and it was a real issue. I mean, this was back in 2012, 2013 days, and getting credit card processors, that was a big deal. I mean, if you said anything gun related, most of these processors with the best pricing would say, no, we're not going to deal with you, and you'd have to go find somebody else. Business insurance, some of these companies, if you sell something that they think even, will like stick to a gun. If you threw it at it, then
Yeah.
they want to stay far away from you. And I understand that part of that, can be liability, but a lot of it is obviously, just politics, and they're painting with a broad brush. They don't want to be. So it is good. So the state cannot contract with any of those entities. And I'm sure that's going to be something that's going to be fought out in the courts, because somebody's going to try to say, hey, this company that the state's contracting with does this, and then it's going to be attorneys. But yeah, I think it's a good start anyway.
It is, and you're exactly right. It's the government can't work with, or, anybody contracting against ammunition or firearms. But to throw a big name out there, Shopify. I know a couple different gun accessory or rifle accessory companies that were kicked off of Shopify and told that they could no longer use them for their services for their online business. And I mean, that's a huge company, and not that the state of Texas works with them or anything, but the way the law reads, maybe they'll take a closer look at that. But all right, the second one here we're going to talk about hits a little bit closer to home. You and I do some traveling from time to time, but Senate Bill number 20 allows guests to store firearms in their hotel rooms. So I'll let you handle that, because
yes. But basically, this is my understanding from what I've read. In the state of Texas, a private business can disallow someone from carrying their firearm in that business. There's a few exceptions. And so what it looks like is they're saying that hotels are going to be one of those businesses that they cannot force you to leave your firearm outside. Now, I don't know exactly what the fine print says. Maybe you can't carry it around in their building and in their restaurants and in the lobby, because it says, when I read it a little deeper, it says carrying it directly to your room.
Right.
And so what the state's trying to say there is, I saw a push for this, and I don't know, again, how much it was outside or in Texas. And I don't know how much maybe outside some of the bigger cities. But after the big Las Vegas shooting, there was a lot of hotels, especially out there in Vegas and some bigger cities, that were saying, okay, I don't care if you're licensed. I don't care what. You cannot bring a firearm into our building. And I always think laws like that or rules like that businesses make they make a lot of sense, because if they would have just made a rule that guy couldn't have got up there and kicked his windows out and shot all those people, he wouldn't have done it.
Right.
Obviously, more rules are going to keep us all safe. So heavy sarcasm there. Yeah. So the state's basically saying to a hotel, if Hans pulls up there in his truck and he's going to stay the night, they cannot legally disallow him from walking from his vehicle to his room to store his firearm and his ammunition. And that's a good thing. And I think one of the reasons, the distinction for that is he is staying there. This is a hospitality business. This is going to be his home away from home for the night, and he has the legal right to have that, and he shouldn't be forced to leave it in his vehicle, parked in the parking garage, which brings up all other kinds of issues, leaving your firearm out there.
Yeah, kind of like an extension of your own home, kind of like an RV or camper. Similar circumstances. So Senate Bill 550, Jason, I know you've been waiting to be able to carry your pistol like Dirty Harry on a shoulder holster, but removes the shoulder or belt holster requirements, allowing Texans to carry firearms in whatever kind of holster they choose. So, I'm gonna have to go holster shopping.
If you're a mall ninja and you like a drop leg holster, and you want to carry that thing around, you're ready, man. This is, So the way I read that, you had to carry in a shoulder holster or in a some sort of a hip or waistband style holster, and I guess it removes that. And really, like I said, short of some drop leg or I have no idea. I have no clue what that. But hey, you know what? More freedom. I'll take it.
We'll take it. Exactly. House Bill 1500 prevents any government entity from prohibiting the sale or transportation of firearms or ammunition during a declared disaster or emergency. So a lot of these things, I had no idea that there were even laws against it. Like the holster thing, had no clue. Had no clue.
I know, I didn't either.
But
Nobody's ever.
I think some of these might be also and we're going to get comments of people that probably know a little bit more about this that study it with some more clarification. But a lot of these seem like these are proactive attempts to be more friendly to the Second Amendment. Not necessarily that some of these are issues right now, but they want to clear these roadblocks for future events that may come up or may occur. Is that what it kind of sounds like to you or seems like to you?
Yeah, I think so. And I think that it could be reactionary to some things that over the years we've seen other places. And I don't want to quote this and be completely wrong because it's been so many years ago. But I know back during Hurricane Katrina down in New Orleans, there was some, government entities there that were trying to prevent people from carrying their firearm legally or buying or selling firearms legally. There were some big deals going on there where Second Amendment constitutional rights were being violated. And so when I look at this, that looks, again, that's been years ago. I'm not saying that's exactly what it's related to, but I remember reading about those issues kind of in the aftermath of Katrina. Yeah. So it makes sense to me that, again, during a declared disaster emergency, no government entity can prohibit the sale or transportation of firearms. So yeah, they're basically saying you can't set a roadblock up and say, hey, we've got this disaster up here, tornado came through town, hurricane, whatever it is, you can't have your firearm. You got to turn around this roadblock. They can't do that, which, good. Again, I'm with you. I think it's probably proactive in that sense, but again, I'm glad to have it.
So here's where we get really into meat and potatoes of the new laws, and there's a lot of questions that still are out there because of these and the things that were passed. The next one, House Bill number 2622, makes Texas a Second Amendment sanctuary state by protecting Texans from new federal gun control regulations. Now, this isn't the first state that's done this. I know you even have counties that are in blue states. I know in Virginia, there was some counties that declared themselves and voted on, that we are gun sanctuary counties in a blue state, very blue state like Virginia. So the question is, and I think still is left to be answered, what does it all mean? So where's the federal enforcement's where does their reign, I guess, stop in the state? Does the state override, or can they override a federal agent coming in and trying to, enact or impose some new gun laws? It just seems like like posturing to me.
I think it is. Yeah. This is my understanding. All right. Did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. So that's my knowledge on this is, you should put it in a thimble of how much you trust this. Yeah. But my understanding of it is that what it does is it would force state and local agencies from assisting the federal government in enforcing new what the state would consider unconstitutional gun laws. Mm-hmm. And so they're basically, by my understanding of this, are saying any new, because it says any new federal gun control laws, they're going to say they're unconstitutional no matter what they are. And so the state is not going to be allowed, these state agencies, to assist the feds in enforcing those. Now, it doesn't mean that, unfortunately, I wish that it meant, but it doesn't mean that the Department of Public Safety troopers and the Texas Rangers are going to set up roadblocks and, pull out the arms and keep the feds at bay on the borders. But that's what I want it to say, but I don't think it says that.
Oh, yeah.
But they're not going to be allowed to assist them. And my understanding is, reading this, it's not just saying that we might not, but that they're not allowed to assist them in the enforcement of these. And so that's going to kind of play into another one of these we're going to talk about in a minute.
Yeah, it kind of seems like the federal government still has jurisdiction. It's just that,
unfortunately,
that our authorities, troopers, local state police are not going to be able to assist them. But if the ATF says, I don't like the way that Jason's rifle looks a little bit too short, and I'm checking right now, and he doesn't have a stamp, we're going to go knock on his door. There's pretty much nothing that's going to stop him from doing that. It sounds like, unless they pull over at the the gas stations say, the feds are like, hey, sees a local cop and, hey, where's Jason Robertson live? Can you give us directions? They're like, no, we're not going to help you to find his house. But
Correct.
other than that, they're still going to be able to roll up and get him. So I feel like that is, I think it's a good thing. I like it. I think it sounds good. I don't know how much teeth it has to it. It does seem like a little bit of posturing just to say, hey, look at us. Look how conservative we are. We're a gun sanctuary state. But that's what, like I was saying, what does it all mean? What does that mean when it comes down to the nuts and bolts of it, of how it's actually going to work or could be implemented? But hopefully we don't have to find out. I'm really hoping it doesn't get to that
exactly
point.
how I feel. I don't want to know.
So the next one, House Bill 1927, authorizes constitutional carry in Texas, meaning law-abiding Texans can legally carry a gun without a license or permit. I'm very excited about this. This is my first time my wife's ever said, hey, I think I want to go out and I want to buy a handgun. So me and her get to go handgun shopping. She's never said that to me before. So any excuse for me to get to go gun shopping, even if it is for my wife, is exciting to me. So we're going to run out and buy her a new pistol sometime soon. Now it goes into effect September 1st, and we're the 21st state. Well, I did not know that when they talked about passing this law, and they said, anybody that's legal, to carry or to buy a handgun can carry one. I was like, man, that's awesome. And they're like, we're the 21st state. And I was like, you got to be kidding me. You mean there's 20 other states that are
we're way behind.
Way behind. I mean, we're in the middle of the pack when it comes. I mean, there's some states on here that you would think that we would be more conservative when it comes to gun rights that are on it before us. But I guess better late than never. But it just proves to you that how much Texas is moving and has been moving over, and it's getting harder and harder to get these things done. But hopefully it's a sign of things to come nationally, as we start to push against some of these gun laws.
So constitutional carry is a little bit of a hot topic for some people, even in the gun and hunting community.
Yeah, there's pro-gun people that aren't even for it,
There are, and there's probably some listeners of this show who are not for it. And so the one thing that I always hear, and again, I'm not talking about what the left is saying because I don't really care what they're saying, but coming from within our side, within our own ranks of conservative hunters and gun owners, is the idea of, but that just means that any Joe Schmo, your wife, no offense, somebody with no training, whoever, can go pick up a firearm. They can go put it in their purse. They can wear it on their hip. They can do whatever they want to do. And they can have that firearm, and they're going to go into Walmart and they could pull that thing out and shoot somebody because they don't know how to use it and whatever. Yeah. Well, my first thing that I would say to that is, and this is just me, okay? I'm just going to tell you, I'm so far right of the modern day conservatives that I don't see in my rearview mirror, okay? Yeah. My first comment is, my rights do not come from the government. Right. So I don't need them to allow me to do something, okay? So they don't need, so it's not like, oh, they're allowing me to do this. They should have never, this shouldn't even be an issue because I believe we have this right anyway. Mm-hmm. Second of all, I would say that we've had the first we had, it was called conceal carry license. Then it changed to license to carry when you could open carry. And I'm going to tell you something. I've been through those classes. I've been through the whatever they call them, refreshers or continuing ed, or I don't know what they call it, when you used to have to go re-up it. I've done this. No offense. Oh, they're a joke. Okay, look, I've been in those classes with little old grandmas that don't know which end the bullets come out of, and it's not a gun safety class. Yeah. I mean, it's about the law. It's about the basic things you could and couldn't do, where you could and couldn't carry it, basically was what the class was about. And then you go out there and, it's like, okay, here's your handgun, shoot at this target. And it's phenomenal that I've never heard of anybody failing one of these things. No. And so it's an all-day deal. You leave there, and the person who didn't know which end of the firearm the bullets went into still didn't know when they got out of the class. So, this has been going on for 20 something years. So people hadn't been shooting everybody up. Again, I just don't think we need the government to be in charge of that.
Yeah. There's a lot of people that are very much pro Second Amendment. There's probably, like you said, people listening to the show that are not for the right for anybody, any normal person, law-abiding citizen to be able to carry a gun. I agree with you. I think these rights are given to us from God and not from government, as far as what we're allowed to do, especially when it pertains to Second Amendment. The people out there, this is going to hurt the business of a lot of people out there that are handgun instructors.
They were fighting this tooth
because there's a lot
nail.
of people that have made a business out of it, and God bless them. I understand it, and nobody wants to see somebody's livelihood taken away. But the people out there saying that you shouldn't just give anybody the right to carry a gun because they're not going to be able to use it or know how to use it. Well, that's the gun owner's responsibility to do that. That's
exactly right, and
it's not up to us to be able to say who should be able to carry a gun and who shouldn't, just because we feel like somebody's not as trained as somebody else. Yes, it is a right. It is a very important right, and one that comes with a lot of concern for the well-being of others. I mean, you want to make sure that your firearm is protected in a safe spot. You know how to use it, but that's up to the individual owner. That's not up to somebody else that should give somebody else the right to carry it, not just because they feel like they're experienced. And the people that I hear saying it's a disappointment, because they are people that I've seen on social media that are respected, and for them to come out against this, it's disappointing. And if your thought on this disagrees with Jason and I's opinion on this, I completely understand your side and what you're coming from. It makes me nervous deciding on who should have the ability to own something. Now, if you're a felon, that's something else. You've lost that right. You also lost the right to vote. But when it comes to protecting yourself, everybody should be afforded the same opportunity to protect themselves, no matter what we feel like their skill level is.
I think so, and I think we can end pretty easily and say, listen, how long have we been requiring driver's license? And the state has been forcing kids to go through driver's ed classes that take weeks, and they got to, drive and prove all this. Okay, folks, if you've driven in Texas or any other state, you realize there's a bunch of morons out there that have a state-issued card that says they can legally drive, and they are morons. And they're driving a, they can drive a motorhome down the road at 80 miles an hour down the interstate, and they're passing you by that much. Come on, man. No, that's no.
So,
but I do. At the end of the day, I think constitutional carry is a good thing. And, I want to speak to one thing. I know you did mention about all these guys who have had, classes for years, and they've, maybe a side gig or something, teaching these, concealed handgun or license to carry classes. What I would like to see a lot of those guys do is, and I know they're not going to get near the customers that they did before because it won't be required. But what I would like to see them do is to go out on their own, fashion some sort, come up with their own curriculum for a gun safety class, a 101 gun safety, offer this, and hey, it's going to be the same thing. Come out here on Saturday, we'll do it all day, as whatever it is, and offer those classes at I don't the same price. I don't know, whatever it is, and try to push that, and work with these gun shops, the new gun owner homes, say, hey, you don't have to go do this, but we highly encourage it. And I'll just be honest with you, I know a lot of first time gun owners, a lot of women, people that would send their kid to that if it was a legitimate gun training 101. I mean, you know what I mean? I think if it was a legit deal, but this license to carry, everybody knows they have to teach what the state requires for you to pass the test.
Right.
I mean, that's, that's not the teacher's fault. He's just teaching what the state requires.
Right.
So anyway, that's my 2 cents.
Well,
I think it's a good thing. I'm glad to have it.
So all of these laws up to this point, I'll say they've been pretty straightforward. Most of them have been. The last one here could be the biggest thing. This is even above constitutional carry. This last law has got people like on the edge of their seat. They pass it. Now we're like, okay, what do we do? So,
if it wasn't for this one, we wouldn't even be having this show.
We wouldn't have the show. Okay.
This is the big one.
And this was totally out of left field. This was on nobody's radar, at least nobody. Everybody was talking about constitutional carry, and then this thing comes out. Okay. House Bill 957 repeals the criminal offense of possessing, manufacturing, transporting, or repairing a firearm silencer. It also ensures that any firearm suppressor manufactured in Texas and that remains in Texas will not be subject to federal law or federal regulations. Holy cow. Where can I go, start making suppressors? No, I'm joking. Totally joking. Totally joking. So
he is joking.
I'm totally joking. So what the heck, man? Okay, so if this is true, it should be just gangbuster for any silencer company. And there are several. They're not well known, but there are several Texas manufacturer suppressor companies that are in this state that, as of September 1st, whenever this thing goes live, should be able to just start pumping out these suppressors to people in Texas. And maybe they sign something at the store that says it's remaining in Texas and I'm not leaving. And that's it.
Never going to happen.
You just like let's talk about it this way. The big companies, Dead Air, Silencer Co., these nationwide suppressor companies. What does this law mean for them, Jason?
Well, the reason I say it's never going to happen, I want to be clear and say that I'm not saying that there's nothing can come of this law. What I cannot imagine anyone with a attorney that got a 69 on his bar exam would go out and make suppressors Texas made. I don't care whatever the dots they got the dot and the T's they got to cross. I don't know. I cannot imagine anybody that would go out and make these knowing they're breaking federal law and sell them. I cannot imagine that. I mean, it would be one thing for a guy to go out and make his own.
Yeah.
But it'd be a whole nother, because you're going to get on the radar way quicker if you're a legit manufacturer, or even if you just, started up in your machine shop last week and you start selling these things. Let me tell you where the feds are coming.
Yeah.
And so I would say that number one, I want to say this real quick. This means nothing to any legit manufacturer of suppressors or legitimate FFL dealers, because they are FFL dealers. They have a federal firearms license and they are required to obey those laws. And if they go out and start selling suppressors over the counter to everybody that walks in the door, I mean, the feds are already looking over their shoulder. That'd just be stupid. That's like, jail time waiting to happen. Those guys, this cannot help them in any way, in my opinion, at least short term, unless the Fed said they weren't going to do anything about it, which I don't imagine
them touching this with a 10-foot pole.
I wouldn't.
It would.
I was them.
The first thing the feds would raid their, manufacturing plants, which a lot of them are outside the state of Texas, and they'd be probably shut down faster than you can blink an eye. But what about the suppressor companies that are in Texas, that their product, primarily is sold to Texans within the state? I mean, what does it mean for those kind of companies?
I think it means the same thing. I think the feds would be knocking on their door in 15 minutes.
So
I think I do. I think if you've got a legitimate company and you're selling every suppressor that you can make or maybe you're not. Maybe you're not selling everyone you can make, but you're selling suppressors and you're successful and you're doing it under the federal regulations. I don't see any reason that you would risk federal jail time and your whole business over this. Now, we're kind of a little bit of the cart ahead of the horse on this. So part of this bill, and I want to, let me say two things. One, a lot of people say, hey, this is just like Kansas. Kansas already did this several years ago. They had some guys that went out there and, got these unlicensed cans. The feds came in, hauled them off, drug them to jail, and the state stood back and said, well, I don't know. And those guys were the scapegoats, okay? Yeah. So our bill is different. There is some different wording in there, and so, there is some thought that this is going to test it in a different way. But where I was originally going to go here is the way our bill is written is come September, there is a requirement for this to be put in front of a federal judge, meaning rather than waiting until Joe Bubba goes out there and makes one and gets caught in some drug raid and then it all goes down, they're saying, no, we're going to put this in front of a federal judge and see what happens in September. Yeah. Now, if the federal judge says, nope, not going to happen, they said they're going to try to take it all the way to the Supreme Court. Now, I will admit that the Kansas deal, their past bill, that the Supreme Court wouldn't even look at it. Texas believes that they have a case that's going to be a little bit different. Yeah. Is it going to be? I don't know. I think it's going to have to be worked out in the courts. So if you want my take on what this actually in reality is that, you keep asking the good question. What about these companies that are already in Texas? What I think for the intermediate is that it would allow a guy to make, let's just say it's homemade. I don't know, whatever. He's got his oil can filter or something. I don't know. He's got an unlicensed suppressor, and what it would allow is, we're kind of going back to some of these other things. The state law enforcement could not do anything to convict him of that or to assist the feds in that. So if he's out there with this thing and he doesn't draw the attention in any way of the feds, then I guess he's smooth sailing, because the state, and local, law enforcement couldn't do anything about it. I mean, it would be legal in Texas, but illegal federally. Yeah. So the only thing I keep going back to is, and I know this won't matter. It won't matter when you get to the federal level, but all these states have gone out and legalized marijuana and other drugs that are illegal federally, and the feds haven't done one darn thing about it. So I've been saying for a long time, let's just go out and do this with firearms. It normally doesn't work that way, but that's what I say.
Well,
what do you think? I mean, what is your take on this?
So I think you're correct. I think it puts their business in too much jeopardy as far as legitimate suppressor companies to start doing this. But I think you're right. I think that they did this to kind of start change in a more effective way by getting in front of the courts, and maybe it might be put into law. If a federal judge upholds it, it gives the law more credibility. It'll probably be challenged, and then it may find its way to the Supreme Court, which, an ultimate ruling on there could make it legal for everybody in the United States. or set some type of precedent. So I think it's a smart thing. I think what it means right now is not much is going to change. You're going to get a bunch of people running out to try to make their own suppressors. I can promise you that.
There's going to be somebody go to jail before they can even get this in front of a judge, because some guy's going to go out there, make a suppressor, post it on YouTube and Facebook, and flaunt it, and he's going to go to jail.
Yeah. I have heard of people home making suppressors and having the feds show up at their door, and they got off with just a slap on the wrist and said, hey, don't do it anymore. But, People, making suppressors for all their buddies. Anybody that had a welding rig or something, a welding shop,
I'd
being
be
able to do this.
very concerned.
Yeah, very much so.
Well,
But
I'll say this. I hope it happens. I mean, I'm waiting right now. I've got a suppressor in jail. I guess it's I don't know about my fourth one.
Yeah.
I'm still you and I both do. So we're both waiting. Look, I've paid my $200 stamp. Multiple suppressors, and I'm not upset. I've heard some guys, well, I've already paid all this money. Who cares? What sense does that make? I mean, I don't care. I'll pay more money if I don't have to go through the federal process. Do I really think that anything's going to happen? I don't know. I'm 60% that nothing changes, but I like to hold out this 40%, which is probably a little higher than it should be. But again, I think it needs to play out in the courts. We're not attorneys. We're not judges. Let's see where it goes. And even if it ends up with a big fat no, hey, we got the state saying that they tried. We've got the state moving in the right direction, trying to give the citizens more freedom.
Yeah.
And so that's a big deal to me every single time. I'll take that. And I'm a huge states' rights proponent. As a Southerner, that's,
I think a lot of these laws too, although I like all of the laws and I'm glad that they're in place, I think it's also laws that were put in place by politicians that are coming up for election soon. And everybody's trying to prove to their voters who's more conservative. So,
or who's more liberal if you're on the other side.
Exactly. So, no, I think these are good. So there were 7 bills. Again, I'll run them down very quickly, and I'll let Jason wrap up the show. First one prohibits any governmental entity from contracting with a business that discriminates against firearms or ammunition businesses. Senate Bill 20 allows guests to store firearms in their hotel rooms. Senate Bill 550 removes the shoulder or belt holster requirement, so you can basically carry your gun or handgun any way you want to. House Bill 1500 it prevents any government entity from prohibiting sales or transportation of firearms or ammunition during declared disaster or emergency. House Bill 2622, Texas is a sanctuary state. And House Bill 1927, constitutional carry. Anybody that's legal to buy a gun is legal to carry it. And House Bill 957, we're just going to call it the suppressor law. What I know that these laws pertain to Texas, but if you're out there and you don't live in Texas and you're hearing a lot about this, hopefully what you see is this is obviously these are reactions to people that are concerned about leadership in Washington right now and the anti-gun movement that continues to get stronger. It will never stop getting strong from the left side. They're always going to push. They have a mindset of just trying to chip away at gun rights a little piece at a time, and that's a win to them because at some point they know a lot of little pieces add up to a lot, and so we've got to fight back even harder to make sure that we protect our rights and protect our rights to protect ourselves, our family, and to be able to do what we do and what we love to do, and that's to hunt, and we don't want to be told what type of rifle we can hunt with. So, and
I think, yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was just going to say, thank goodness that they're taking these steps to do it. And if you're one of these states that you don't have these gun laws or these proactive gun laws, hopefully they're moving to a state near you. Hopefully this is a sign of importance of making sure that we're electing. The state and local elections are probably more important than the federal, and you can see exactly why when it pertains to gun rights now with a lot of the stuff that's being taught to kids in school. Gosh, man, the only people that are protecting ordinary citizens are our state and local representatives. If you look at it at this point,
I agree, and you said something there that I think is important, and I'll end on this note. You said from the left and from the feds coming down, they're slowly chipping away at the Second Amendment rights, and it's little by little. And I think we have to look at this, even from the state level, as the opposite of that. So even if you go, well, most of these don't mean much, every little bit helps. If we're chipping away at what they've done, even if only one of these adds up to anything, well, it's better than we were yesterday, and it didn't cost us anything, So I am all for it. So I would just say this, to Governor Abbott and the Texas legislature, all the conservatives, and hey, let me say this: there were some Democrats that voted for some of these. I want to be very clear: this was not 100% down party line. So kudos to all those guys. Thank you very much.
Democrats are gun owners too, for sure. Work.
That's right. Yep. Some of them are for sure, definitely. All right, folks. Hey, we hope that you enjoyed the show. Like I said, we know it's a little bit different, but it's an interesting topic. It pertains, like we said, in some way to all of us as gun owners and gun enthusiasts, and as just constitutional Americans. Even if you choose to not own guns, it's something that is important to all of us. So again, we thank y'all for coming here. If you're looking for any kind of night vision or thermal optics, please go to outdoorlegacygear.com and check that out. That is our website. By supporting outdoorlegacygear.com, you support Hans and I, you support this show. That's what puts this show on, so we really appreciate that. All of our loyal listeners who become customers, it means a lot to us. If you've got a question about an optic, you're not sure what to buy, feel free to call us, 877-350-1818. You can also go on the website and contact us there. Email us if you've got a quick question about an optic before you make the purchase. If you are looking for Hans, go check him out on YouTube. Hans ETX. That is HANSETX, Hansies, Texas. You'll find his YouTube channel there. He is constantly putting out review videos from scopes. He's putting out hog hunting and coyote hunting videos. So like and subscribe there. And then he is always over at Instagram way too much when he should be doing a lot of other things. He is instead over there posting pictures. It's just
want to know why I'm not calling people back. I'm posting on
exactly. I'm over here talking to customers, and it's like, oh, Hans tagged you in another post. Great, it's awesome. Why doesn't he call somebody? So anyway, now folks, check Hans out there, and then you've already found the Late Night Vision Show, but you can always go to the LateNightVisionShow.com to see all the past episodes and learn more about the show there. Yep. So thank you very, very much.
So check out OutdoorLegacyGear.com. Thank you for your business. Thank you for trusting us. Hopefully you see us as your trusted thermal and night vision dealer. We feel like we provide the best level of service that we possibly can, and I think a lot of the customers would say that we do. So we appreciate your business. And make sure that you tune in next week for episode 165 of the Late Night Vision Show. If you find us on iTunes or if you find us on Google Play, Spotify, please give us good rankings. And also on YouTube, give us a thumbs up. That helps out. Or share it. Sharing the podcast does a lot for us. So we thank y'all. Have a good week. Have a good weekend. Stay safe in the fields and keep making them bacon pancakes.